All right, let's break down a pretty high-stakes legal drama that's shaking up the world of real estate tech. In one corner, you've got the Seattle-based giant Zillow Group, and in the other, the powerhouse from Arlington, Virginia, CoStar Group. Trust me, this is way more than just a lawsuit. It's a real battle of titans. So right off the bat, we've got a central puzzle. We have a company from Washington State, another from Virginia, and somehow their legal battlefield is a courthouse in the Southern District of New York. So how in the world did we get here? So yeah, just to be super clear, on one side, Zillow, with its headquarters in Seattle. On the other, CoStar, based out of Arlington, Virginia. Neither of them calls New York home, which, makes Zillow's latest legal move all the more interesting. Zillow has officially fired back. But here's the thing, they're not arguing the case itself. Not yet. Instead, they filed a motion to get the entire lawsuit thrown out of New York and moved clear across the country to Washington State. Okay, before we get too deep into the where, let's quickly cover the what. This whole thing started back in July. CoStar sued Zillow, claiming they illegally used thousands of property photos, complete with CoStar's watermark, in their rental listings. It's a pretty classic copyright infringement claim. Now, on the surface, Zillow's arguments for moving the case are pretty logical. They're basically saying, hey, our headquarters are in Washington, our key witnesses are here, so a local court has a stronger interest. They even point out that the courts in Washington have a much lighter caseload than New York's, which could mean a faster trial. But, and you knew there was a but coming, this isn't just about logistics or convenience. Zillow's motion goes on the attack. It accuses CoStar of having a much more calculated, kind of sneaky reason for picking a New York courthouse in the first place. So Zillow is alleging that CoStar is forum shopping. That's the legal term for basically picking a court where you think you'll get a better outcome. Zillow claims CoStar deliberately avoided Washington to steer clear of the Ninth Circuit Court, a place where CoStar has actually lost legal battles before, including one against Zillow itself back in 2022. And to really drive their point home, Zillow uses LinkedIn data to show just how minimal CoStar's connection to New York really is. Get this. Only 4% of CoStar's U.S. employees are in the New York City metro area. Compare that to almost 47% near their Virginia headquarters. The implication is pretty clear. Why file a lawsuit in a state where your presence is so small? So here's the crucial point, the real accusation. Zillow says this lawsuit isn't a one-off thing. They're accusing CoStar of using a playbook, a repeatable strategy of hitting competitors with copyright lawsuits and then using press releases to publicly tear them down. They're painting this as part of a much bigger, much more aggressive corporate strategy. But as you can imagine, CoStar is not taking these accusations lying down. Oh no. They have a completely different take on what Zillow's really trying to do here.
CoStar's response, which comes from their general counsel, Gene Boxer, is sharp and super direct. They immediately call out Zillow for pretending to be a New York outsider, pointing to their very visible, very local presence.
And CoStar has the receipts to back this up. They point out that Zillow owns StreetEasy. That's the dominant portal in New York City. They have a flagship office right on Broadway. They're already involved in other lawsuits in the city. And maybe most importantly, CoStar claims the photos that were allegedly stolen are most heavily concentrated, you guessed it, right there, in and around New York. So from CoStar's perspective, this whole motion to transfer the case isn't about legal principles at all. It's a stall tactic. They see it as a, and this is a quote, transparent attempt to delay justice and avoid taking responsibility for the alleged copyright infringement. This whole back and forth over a courthouse location isn't just dry legal maneuvering. It's actually the latest shot fired in a long and escalating rivalry for control of the multi-trillion-dollar real estate industry. And man, things have heated up so fast. The lawsuit was filed in July, but just last week, this whole thing spilled into the public when the CEOs of both companies started taking jabs at each other during their earnings calls. Zillow's motion to transfer is just the latest escalation in this fight. This war of words became very, very public. Zillow's CEO, Jeremy Waxman, said they'll just ignore the industry noise. But then CoStar CEO, Andy Florence, shot back, claiming Zillow is under siege from a growing number of lawsuits. These are clearly not friendly competitors. For CoStar, the bottom line is simple. They're calling this entire debate over the courthouse location a sideshow. They are confident that no matter which court ends up hearing the case, Zillow will ultimately be held accountable for what they're calling mass infringement. And that really leaves us with the big question. Is this just a procedural squabble, a sideshow designed to delay and distract? Or are we actually watching a strategic, high-stakes chess match that's going to help define who wins the war for the future of real estate? Justice, as they say, will prevail. But where and for whom? Well, that remains to be seen.